everyone, and welcome to Take a Pause with Menopause, where we will talk about the pause and all of her glory and not so glory. But it will have a conversation that will be honest, fun, and always,
real?
just fun and real. I mean, what's happening to us at this point, David, is just, it's interesting. So we try to keep it interesting. So we are so happy today. I have my partners in Menopause, Raquel and Debbie, as our co-host. Hi, girls.
Hi.
And today we are so happy to have David Vasenden, who is a pharmacist in Reno at the Sierra Family Pharmacy. Again, lovely West Coast. I was out to your city. Loved it there in March. And just talking about how a compounding pharmacy, how that will help with hormones, understanding them, understanding what a compounding pharmacy is, because I
And the
did
benefit.
not know. Yeah, and now I
Yes.
want one. I want one. I just,
Yes.
it was, mind blown. And especially with the whole shortage, the estrogen patch shortage, and, you know. So,
We just want to help you out there find some alternatives, things that you can talk to your doctors about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So welcome everybody, and
So quick question, really quick, 'cause I can't wait to. First, I want to say, David, thank you for being so involved in our Northern Nevada community and beyond, because you just went to Washington, D.C., so you're taking this stuff pretty darn seriously. And it's about time that somebody does that so people understand about the compounding, your pharmacy. But thank you for giving back, and I'm just grateful, not just hormones, anything I've ever had to get that somebody couldn't make, the 30 years I've been in Reno, I go to you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking this stuff seriously and believing in women and believing in our health system. So I just want to make sure before we start the show that everybody knows you are not just a pharmacist.
Yeah.
This is your family.
Right. And you're not
This
just
is
a
your
compound
family pharmacy. This is your family business. So that means so much more to women and men if they know it's a personal thing for you. It's about really making a difference. So,
And I want to piggyback on that, Debbie, because I've talked to several people in town. And, Debbie and I live in Reno also. And I have heard nothing but amazing stories about your pharmacy, about you. My sister is a COO of an assisted living home here in town. And she uses you guys' pharmacy, hands down. She's like, oh my gosh, I love them. They're amazing. And they're always so quick to help. They're very knowledgeable, and those are all things that really make a difference to us in this space, because we don't have a lot of information. So any little information, we're like, oh my God, especially when it's good, vetted information.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we said that, what is the difference? What makes you different? Yes.
Well, that's a big question. So the difference. So compounding pharmacy. This is an overview of compounding pharmacy. So what is a compounding pharmacy? We differ in a way that we make everything. So we're going to go out. A lot of our products are for immune-compromised people. So people that can't tolerate lactose, they can't tolerate the dyes, they can't tolerate things like that. So we can pull all those ingredients that they don't tolerate generally out of a product. We're pretty successful in doing that for most people. We do a lot of different dosage forms for kids, so there aren't a lot of anti-rejection drugs for kids. So we have to formulate all that product for them so that they can take their anti-rejection medications for any kind of transplant products, that type of thing. So I mean, that's a majority of our business would be autoimmune, women's health. It's not a one-stop thing. You don't have these 5 strengths. This is all you can take. This is what you guys are going to fit into. We do everything from ultra low dosing all the way up to high dosing. Everybody's different. We just don't know until we see the individual and work with them and work with their doctors to come up with the appropriate dosing for what's going on. So.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing, especially with autoimmune. I feel like that's such a underdeveloped topic. You know, like I think that there's so much autoimmune out there that I don't think that people recognize that is associated with some of these other things. Like I didn't know I had an autoimmune disease until perimenopause brought it out.
Right.
And it, you know, it just was, it's like one of those things where you're just kind of sitting there like, oh, how do I reduce inflammation? You know, nobody really knows. But getting, I think, a compound type of medication over something that you orally take is such a huge game changer, especially because I went through such a wild ride with like my autoimmune disease. Like the thought of ingesting something that I just can't get out of my system, opposed to like I can like get this off my skin and that like maybe a smaller recovery time is huge to me. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to feel like crap if I don't have to.
Yeah, autoimmune is you know, it manifests itself so differently in so many different people.
Yeah,
And it can be low grade, it can be, you know, where it's just hanging in the background all the time, and then, like you say, menopause brings it out more and things like that. So it's one of those things that there's a lot of different ways to help moderate autoimmune. You know, there's always a spot for all the commercial stuff too. I mean, it's this balance that you have to have, and you have to look at. You know, Western medicine's great for curing you. You know, that's what we go to the doctor for. You know, we have to work on preventing it, which is, you know, where we kind of fall into to kind of help prevent these things from happening, or at least help outcomes. You know, help outcomes be better on top of the, you know, Western medicine. So kind of
Now, how did the providers, how do they just write a regular prescription, and then like how does it start? Like they go in and they say, hey, I have autoimmune, or I'm in menopause, and like just the progesterone, for example. I have a friend that went from 100 to 200. She really needs like maybe 125. They gave her 200 and she's practically falling asleep at work. She was like, I feel so like groggy. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like she writes a regular prescription and then they come to you and you taper it?
Yeah,
How
so
does it work?
first part of that question, a lot of it's patient driven. You guys everybody's reached their limit on whatever they've been doing, and they go out and research the product and go, you know what, hey, I think this is going to help me. They go into their physician's office and go, I really want to try this. Depending upon who the physician is, they'll go, yeah, you know what, I don't see any harm in trying that. Let's go ahead and try that. You know, and that's where a lot of our business comes from. They've come in to talk to us for something else, and we've suggested something. They go back into the doctor. The doctor says, yeah, you know what, I agree with that. I think that would be just fine to try.
Okay.
In the case there where you've gone from 100 to 200 milligrams, there's no commercial product out there. Yes, the doctor would just write a prescription for progesterone, 150 milligrams, 125 milligrams. They bring it to us, we compound it. Ideally, if I say compound, progesterone 150 milligrams, you know, take one capsule at bedtime, that type of thing.
Gotcha.
So yes, I mean, that's our business is doing dosage forms for people who can't tolerate what's commercially available, you know, and so whether that's a difference in strength, there's something in the commercial product that they can't tolerate, like the peanut oil and progesterone capsules, oil-filled capsules. A lot of people have low-grade allergies to the peanut oil, so that affects absorption when they take it orally.
Yeah.
And may not even know it, but you feel better when you're not on it. You know, so it's kind of a catch-22. You might feel better when you're not on it, but then all your menopausal symptoms come back. So, you know, so there's something we would get rid of and put that in a long-acting base, and you could do it orally or do it topically, you know, if we want to do that.
Well, and I like that too, you know, because again, coming from an autoimmune perspective, like I wasn't able to verify one of the medications that I needed was gluten-free. I mean, I contacted the manufacturer, contacted the you know, retail pharmacy, and nobody could verify that any of the medication was gluten-free because I have celiac. And so I was put in a position where I had to fight my insurance company. I mean, and I meant fight my insurance company, who still denied me, in order to get Synthroid, which we knew was, you know, a gluten-free form of levothyroxine. But I mean, I had to actually go to the manufacturer itself in order to like find a program, because they were charging me $65-$75 per month for just one 30-day prescription. I mean, I thought that was just insane, you know, like, and going to a compound pharmacy, I feel like you could get that, you know, and you would have a little more security in knowing what you're getting, and then, you know, having this like really good conversation with somebody like David at the pharmacy, where you're able to say like,
so unfortunately, a lot of compounding, because of the insurance companies, it's not a covered item. So there are
Sure,
there
but
are
still.
there are a few compounding pharmacies up there accept insurance, but what I've found is that it's always the branded copay or non-formulaic copay.
Yep.
Which I can beat that any day of the week generally.
Yeah.
You know, when we do 3-month supplies.
Right.
So, you know, it comes down to access to compounding and stuff like that. You know, that's why I was just in DC, was for desiccated thyroid, kind of like you're doing.
That's what Debbie takes, which is interesting. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
last August, the FDA came out and said, hey, there's thyroglobulin in desiccated thyroid. That is a biologic. But everybody recognizes that product is an inactive ingredient in desiccated thyroid. So that shouldn't even be an issue for the FDA, even in their own bylaws, or their own regulation, they say that if it's an inactive ingredient, we don't really should look at. Some reason, someplace, somebody just said that's a biologic. They give us 1 year to wind everybody out of desiccated thyroid. Well, that year is coming up now in August. There are people that just don't tolerate any of the other products.
I agree.
They've tried they've tried the generic one, they've tried the other products, and for whatever reason, they don't tolerate those products. And so we have a fair amount of people that are going to be out of luck come August, that they won't be able to get this desiccated thyroid. And that's what I was just on the hill for. Fortunately, the new FDA, or anyway, there's movement within the FDA to say that's probably going to be okay, but whether that happens by August or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on that deadline quickly. And you're right, I see a lot of people talk about those desiccated thyroid medications, and their fear, they have a legitimate fear, because I think you said it earlier, David, every single physical body is different. So that's hard to say, you know, what's going to work and what's not.
Okay, I have a quick question, since I am now I've just started taking that about a week ago, and it was hard for me to even get the doctor to get the right prescription of the right kind to cover it, and it's super expensive. Now, is that something I could get as a compound, or in August am I not going to be able to get it? Because I'd rather have you do it as a compound, because I don't even know what I'm really putting in my body.
What is it, desiccated thyroid that he prescribed? Is that what? Yeah, I mean, I have to see
Raquel,
it.
is that what Raquel was paying attention to me? I could go get the bottle, but that's okay.
No, she's currently on a desiccated thyroid. So I think her question is in August, is she going to be able to go to a compound pharmacy and get that, or is it just completely across the board going to be gone, according to current rules?
Current rules, I won't be able to compound desiccated thyroid. So
Gotcha.
there's
Okay.
a lot of things. With thyroid, so kind of back to where we're all coming from on this is, you know, so we see systems get stressed. So you have your adrenals, you have your cortisol with your adrenals being made, you have your thyroid, you have your other hormones and stuff. And as your systems go out of balance, so you start losing progesterone between your 30s and 50s, and then your estrogens start going down. All these put stressors on your body. So as the body becomes stressed, it starts using other areas heavier. So it starts using more cortisol. It starts trying to maintain the body's normal states by doing other areas and stuff like that. And as these systems get more stressed, then you see more failures. You see your thyroid start having issues because your body's not able to cleave it up better, whether it's from its ability to change iodine or whatever it is within the thyroid, or it's just low naturally, or the cortisol is becoming out of balance. So then you're having problems sleeping at night, or you're having crashing midday, things like that. So it just puts when things are out of balance, it puts more stress on the rest of the body, which then causes more issues downstream, which is all
Yeah.
kind of a big cumulative effect, I guess, is what I'm looking for, that causes problems for everybody. And then it gets more and more difficult for us to try to fix, or make them feel better. So,
Right.
Yeah.
But I think you nailed it too. Again, like it's a combination of everything. You have to do lifestyle changes. It can't just be like, here's a medication and you're gonna, whoop, you're better. You have to kind of put a little, effort and take a walk, eat a little healthier, add some, some steps in there for yourself. But I love the idea of compounded pharmacy. With the estrogen shortage, with the patch shortage right now, is that something that you as a compound pharmacy can help women with? I mean, can they go to their provider and say, hey, we'd rather try it as a compounding cream rather than a patch
so
right now?
it's so basically it'd be like an equivalent switch over, from an estrogen patch to a topical cream. There's going to be a little bit of a difference there, but basically we'd probably want to dose it relatively about the same. We generally like to do a little bit of a combination product between estradiol, which is the patch, and then estriol, which is a weaker form of estrogen, just kind of a balance type issue. But that being said, we can do anything that the patient decides upon, that's the right, between the patient and the doctor, that's the right thing for them. But we do a lot of topical creams. It just depends. Because we have a lot of people that are allergic to the glue, so then at that point in time we do a topical. I have a lot of people with allergies, where we got to figure out, first of all, we got to figure out what base we can use because they're allergic to the base. So then we got to find a hypoallergenic base, and then we can put the cream in, we can do the whatever combination it is that they're looking for in as a cream. So
This truly, honestly is amazing. It's like something, I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for all these years. Like never even, I guess I heard of a compounding pharmacy, but not really until menopause. And there was so many things along the way, that I had issues with, that I was, either had not an allergy per se, but a sensitivity all this time, and you don't realize it. And then just with menopause is when I start hearing, I'm like, where have they been? And you've been around for a while, right? Compounding.
It's not new.
It's not new.
it by the time they end up in my realm, people have had a tendency to have been exhausted on all their other possibilities.
Yep.
They're like, there's something wrong with me and they can't fix me. What's wrong? And then at that point in time, I have to step back and take a look and go, well, I'm not sure either, but let's try cleaning some of this stuff up and getting back to normal, or getting, what, do you have a sensitivity, or let's take a look at everything you're on. And that's kind of part of the problem. That's why it's really good to have a family practice person, because you need somebody to be able to look at the whole picture, especially if you got all these specialists and all this other stuff. You got to have somebody helping you manage what's going on.
Right.
And that's some of the biggest things I run across is they got, people have all these different things, and being a specialist, they're going to say, I have no idea what's going on with the rest of it. You got to go to another person for that. Well, nobody's managing the whole picture, and that's why it's good to have somebody managing the whole picture, at least looking.
Too many ologists, not enough patients.
And unfortunately, the insurance companies aren't paying enough money for anybody to do that. In the medical world, they want it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
For all aspects of medicine right now,
Absolutely.
Got a lot of stuff going on out there that we need to fix, and unfortunately, but being your own advocate is the best start. There's something wrong with me. I got to go out and get this fixed. Keep trying to track somebody down until you find somebody that can help you.
Exactly.
And we say that all the time. You have to be the CEO of your own healthcare. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah. And now just having it be an option, you know what I mean? Now that we're talking with you, our listeners will be like, oh my gosh, I don't just have to go one-stop shopping and try to make myself fit into this. I can actually look around, find a compounding pharmacy, because they are all over.
Yeah, they're all over. There's if you Google compounding pharmacy, there's probably one in every city. It's just nobody knows who they are.
What are some of the different applications that you can give women, or just anybody for that matter, of medications? Is it just creams, or can you do other types of things?
So we
pills?
So I'm a non-sterile, so I don't do anything sterile as far as injection goes. So
Gotcha.
But in the non-sterile world, we have topical creams, we have capsules, tablets. It all depends upon what's going. Things we put between the cheek and gum, troches we call them, or buccal dosage forms, liquid suspensions, I even had to go to somebody on thyroid to get them through until we ended up finding a solution for them, or in just water, which is only a 14-day expiration date, but we had to fill that every 14 days for this individual to get them through until we figured out what was going on. So there's a lot of different ways to manage people as far as that goes. It's just coming up with the most convenient way for, some people hate putting creams on, so then we got to figure out some other way to do it. Some people hate sucking on things, so we got to figure out some other way to do that.
Gotcha.
It comes down to what the person will do on a consistent daily basis. That's why the packets are so nice, even though they're commercial. They're actually a decent way to do it because it's a low dose. Mm-hmm. Relatively low dose, and it's estradiol, which is bioidentical. So it's good, except for we just happen to have a lot of people that don't tolerate the glues, or the patches don't stick, or things like that. So,
or there's a shortage and you have to call every pharmacy within a 50-mile radius to go buy them.
So
the shortage, is the shortage actually estradiol, or is it just like how it's made? Like what is causing?
I don't know the answer to that, but if I had to venture to guess, it's probably manufacturing, because I don't know of any shortage of the actual raw powders.
Right, because you would also be having a shortage.
Yeah, I'd be having issues with that. So I'm guessing it has to do with the manufacturing process. They've gotten behind, or a plant got held up, or they had a failure on some piece of equipment or something like that to cause a shortage. So, and that's what we're here for, compounding pharmacies. That's what we did through COVID. That's what we do, is we can take up the slack during shortages and get people their medications and stuff like that. And that's part of the reason why it's in DC too, was because it was a great thing. It's called the Safe Drugs Act. What a great name, Safe Drugs Act. It's the worst.
Safe drug.
It's not a great piece of legislation, because it would actually inhibit all compounding. Pretty much,
that
except
would be bad.
for, so it's kind of like, great name. It's kind of like, but it's not a great piece of legislation, because it actually inhibits us from doing what we can do. For instance, like in COVID, we're able to do all these things because there's in short supply. Tylenol, acetaminophen for kids, and ibuprofen for kids. This act would only let me do 20 prescriptions, period. That's it. So, sorry, you got the child with the 21st prescription? I can't do it. So there's lots of stuff going on out there. Not just,
and that takes like an ethical turn for you, right? Because you signed up to help people, even if it's 20 or 21.
Right.
So
it's probably probably not even what kind of question this might be for you. For somebody who is, like you were mentioning, how you tolerate, how you remember, how you take. I'm somebody who is having now to put my little vitamins in the little containers.
I'm there too, Debbie. Don't you even worry. I'm there.
I'm so embarrassed about it.
No, but it's a psychological thing, and sometimes these vitamins are so big I can't even swallow them, so I say forget it. But is there a way to combine the estrogen and the progesterone and your testosterone? Because right now I get my testosterone from you. It's so easy, one tube, I put it on different spots. I can do that every day. It's super easy. I have it on the bathroom counter. But then I think, oh no, I forgot the patch. Oh, now it's Thursday. Oh my gosh, I should have reordered it. Now I can't get any. And you think, what's going to happen? And then the progesterone, I went from 100 to 200. I'm like, was that too much? Is it not enough? Do I need more testosterone? So I think a lot of us have never done this. I waited till I was 67 to even get something, which is horrible and not fair. But can you get it where it's easy for a woman, where you can get it together? So you go to one place and say, David, this is what I need to be a full woman and feel amazing. I don't want to go to 3 pharmacies to feel good.
So that's a definite way to do it, and I have lots of people to do it that way. I don't ever recommend starting that way, because if I have to recommend a dosage change to the doctor or whatever, or we can't separate the ingredient. Once it's together, we can't separate. So if we're doing half a dose, we're doing half a dose of everything. So I really don't like to put them together to begin with. But once you get stable on the dose that's appropriate for you and what you're taking, then we can calculate that and put that all together in one cream. And then you can just do it as a single dose. And then ideally something like that, if you had testosterone in it, you probably... The only thing that I would do different would be potentially if the testosterone causes too much energy. We want to do
Not
that.
yet.
It's like, we're not on that dose yet. Yeah.
I'm still kind of sleepy.
Where's the energy?
But we have to do the progesterone at night because that causes drowsiness.
So I would be happy keeping the progesterone. I'm okay taking the progesterone pill. That's not a big deal. But between the patch and the cream and worrying, am I even going to get the patch?
Easy to
that
put that
would be
together. It's just you need to do a couple for maybe 3 months to make sure you're stable on whatever dose it is, that we don't have to do any fine tuning on it, and then put it together and we're good to go.
This is such good information.
Oh my God.
I can't even tell you.
You're going to save us. You're going to save women around the world.
Because it's the math, like the girl math that you have to do. You put your patch on. It's Saturday and Wednesday, and then you're going someplace and you're like, where? Here, you just put it on every day. You would make a cream and just do it daily, like a birth control pill that you would take.
And it's even more customized to your body, which is what I'm hearing, which I love, because your body is actually the vessel here.
Yes.
Unfortunately, when we get into all the supplements and stuff like that, so if we're trying to treat adrenal fatigue, very supplement-based, and stuff like that, I pretty much tell people, well, you're going to have to set an alarm clock on your phone for 1 o'clock every day. Let's take your vitamins.
That's what I do for my thyroid. I would love to talk. I'm going to talk to my doctor about adrenal fatigue. I didn't even know there was things that you could do for your adrenals. Because
so most doctors,
the mayor starts writing.
I'm writing this down, David. I'm like, adrenal fatigue. I think I got it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to fix it.
But with adrenal fatigue, so the medical range of normal on adrenal fatigue is really large, and it's very small if you have if you're either low or very high. Yeah. So the normal range is actually quite large. Does that mean that that's appropriate for an individual? We can debate that all day long, but we're looking for an optimal range, just like the hormones and everything else. We're looking for an optimal range for the individuals, and that's not way down here on one end or way up here on another end. That's going to, it's somewhere in the middle or upper 2/3 of normal, something like that is what we're looking for. So I don't even remember where I was going with all that, but anyway, so
brain fog.
Yeah, brain fog.
Menopause. It's menopause. You've been hanging out with us.
You hung out with us for 5 minutes, and here you are, you poor thing. Sorry.
but anyway, so when adrenals start going down south in people, it's really hard to control the other hormones. If your adrenals are out of sync, you can't get up in the morning, you're crashing midday, you put your head on the pillow and can't sleep at night, or you think about the 10,000 things that happened in the last 10 years, you wake up at 2 a.m. Those are all kind of indicative of adrenal fatigue, what we would call adrenal fatigue. And until we get those symptoms controlled, especially sleeping at night and things like that, it gets really, really hard to manage the hormone profile. So they're so intertwined and so interrelated. So like stressors, so you get a hot flush when you have stress. It's because your cortisol is so low, or you don't have the reserves of cortisol, that you get into a stress where you have a hot flash, because your cortisols don't have the reserve to protect the body from these spikes and things like that, because
That
it
makes
binds
sense.
up the hormone and things like that. So there's a lot going on there, and we have to look at that system also compared with, and also the thyroid and everything else, to make sure those are looking good, because if those systems are off, the estrogen and progesterone and testosterone all are make it a more difficult time for us to control some of the symptoms going on. You know, some people are really simple. You give them some progesterone, maybe a little bit of estrogen, a little bit of testosterone. They're feeling great. You never see them again for months or years. But then there's people that every 6 months are in because they're struggling. So, yeah.
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 That's me. My body just doesn't want to comply.
So, and a lot of that has to do with stress. I mean, your body hangs on to stress, your adrenals hang on to stress for the last 10 years or longer, you know, is kind of what I've heard. And so we definitely need to look at that. When I first started in this, when I never was looking at adrenals, we would get beneficial effect from hormone replacement in, I'm just going to throw a number out, 50% of the people.
Sure.
And the other 50% of the people, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on with you, you know. But the minute we started incorporating helping people with their adrenals, you know, that number jumped by a factor of people having success with hormone replacement and things like that, or at least not having to chase that hot flash and trying to get rid of it
Right.
with a little bit more or something else or things like that. So.
Well, you
So
know,
what do you
oh,
recommend
sorry.
for, like, what do you have for adrenal support? Do you have supplements that you recommend, or?
Yeah, everybody's different again on that too. I like saliva testing for adrenals. I mean, I do, you know, I like doing saliva testing for adrenals, because it gives me a good picture, like a blood test, you know,
Yeah.
kind of what's going on with people, and kind of seeing where your highs and lows are throughout the day on a normal day.
And you can see all that through saliva?
Huh?
You can see all that through saliva?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, this is
That's
good.
amazing.
For adrenals,
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it as a blood test, but just the fact of poking your arm with a needle is going to drive your cortisol. So you
That's
know,
a true
so-
story. Because I almost pass out every time a needle comes at me.
Yeah,
Like
so
my mouth gets
just
weird. Mm-hmm.
that alone is going to drive your cortisol levels up, which is the reason why you have such wide ranges of normal for cortisol, because
Yeah.
it's a
That's
very
interesting.
sensitive test. So
That is interesting.
years ago, I don't know if they still do it or not, but NASA used saliva testing for cortisol in your astronauts and stuff. So.
And so we would go to our doctor and we would say, "Hey, can you tell us, or can you test our saliva for our adrenal fatigue?" And then
So there's some online companies for saliva testing. A doctor probably won't know anything about saliva testing, because blood is the gold standard. You gotta
Gotcha.
test for blood, and that's
Yep.
what they do. And
Okay,
so this
okay.
is all more alternative testing, fine tuning what's going on within your body. You still got to follow everything up with blood, because you don't want to overshoot. You know, just like on hormones, I'm more of a minimalist on hormones, where I want to see enough to get rid of your symptoms, to make you feel good, and get rid of brain fog and things like that. But I'm not potentially a proponent of myself anyway of higher dose hormone
Right.
for like anti-aging and things like that. Right or wrong, that's always debatable, you know. But as long as your ratios are good, we can tolerate big ranges of hormones, and it kind of comes down to what you feel is appropriate for you, and how you handle the dosing of hormones. The big thing for me is that the ratios are correct, and what's going on, either whether you're testing via blood and knowing how to manage symptoms via blood, or whether you're doing it through saliva that way. Both are very appropriate. You kind of can't match those and say, oh, this says this and this does this, and they should match. It doesn't, because of what they're looking at within the blood. You know, blood testing, you're
Gotcha.
looking at everything. Saliva testing, you're looking at just what's freely circulating and what's available to the body to use. So there's two different ways to look at things. Doctors look at it, you know, they have, you know, some do it one way, some do it the other way.
Do
What
you
that
work
is?
hand in hand with the provider? I'm sorry, Mary. Do you work hand in hand with the provider in this? Like, are you saying to, I come in off the street and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling. I wanted to look at compounding, and you'll say, go to the doctor, and then once the doctor and I have a conversation, how does that look on the back end? Do you say, oh, XYZ doctor, like I'm gonna, what about this, or how does that look? How do we decide?
So either the doctor knows enough, that they know how, that they're comfortable with how to make the recommendation, or if I've talked to somebody and I'm comfortable enough with making a recommendation, if they've been in to see me, or any compounding pharmacy always, has people they can recommend. If there's something, that way we can always maybe, if the doctor's not comfortable with it, we can find a physician that is comfortable with doing it, and then
Gotcha.
not everybody's comfortable with doing it because it's so far out of their I guess sandbox that
Yeah.
you have to know about it, and you have to know how to do it. And there's doctors in every community
Right.
that do it, so it's just a matter of finding them.
Yeah, and being the CEO of your own healthcare is the research. That's our job. Let's research what's best for our bodies.
Yeah. So.
But I think how you explained it is something that is why, like with the adrenals and like thyroid, the normal scale is so vast. So as long as it's like, oh, well, it's a high normal. Yeah, but I still feel horrible. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, well, it's still within that parameter, and it's so hard to get help or get some type of prescription or whatever, because it's like you're still in that normal, and people are like high normal. I'm like, they would be off the charts normally if they weren't normal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such the interpretation is so hard, I think, with adrenals and everything.
A good example of that is, well, not exactly of that, but it's like vitamin D. People are much better with vitamin D now than they've ever been, especially now since COVID. But as long as you were at, I think 39 was low on a blood test, if I recall correctly. So if you're at 40 or above, you're normal. Don't worry about it. But for vitamin D, you really should be in that 75-ish range on a blood test for it to be optimal for most people, and helping autoimmune and just overall health and bone and everything else. Vitamin D does so many different things in the body. You don't want to be over 100, but at the same time you don't want to be at 50, so
Right.
But people are much more aware. But it's the same thing with hormones. So I mean, you have that range. You got to look at those ranges and be cognizant of them. I mean, we don't want to be over. We don't want to overshoot somebody because there's something else going on. If we have to go to those levels on people, there's something else going on that's preventing it from working. So we got to kind of relook at what's happening. Or they've been. Or the ratios are just so bad that between progesterone and estrogen, things like that, that you have to go that high to do it. Where if you bring it down, sometimes going down, resetting the body, and then coming back on it again, going off it for a week, which may or may not be a beneficial thing for people, and then coming back on it in a lower dose sometimes works better than continually to go up in strength, because the body, they've overshot or they've done something wrong, the receptor site, especially on some topical products. Topically, sometimes we can see the body become used to like progesterone. So sometimes we got to go off it for a period of time. I have some doctors that do it 6 days a week. I have some doctors that do it 5 days a week. Don't know about theory, that's it works for them. I have some people that cycle it that never cycle it. So, and do just fine. So, again, everybody's a little bit different on how we do that.
Yeah.
So I have a fun question for you. We've been talking serious stuff, and I always like to add a little humor.
Yeah.
So if menopause came with a survival kit, what are the top 3 things every woman should have inside? And we're gonna. It's for all of you guys, not just for you, David.
Boy, that's a loaded question, man.
I'm creating my own survival kit daily, Debbie. I don't know.
I know.
And there's a lot more than 3 items in that survival kit, I'm going to say.
Yeah, so, I mean, it comes down to what you believe. And for me, I'm a firm believer of hormones, and I'm a firm believer of hormones through your whole life. It's just a matter of what the amounts are that work for people. I mean, to go through, for instance, menopause and say you don't need progesterone anymore. There's receptor sites for progesterone through your whole body, your brain, your everything. I mean, there's progesterone's doing things in the body other than just maintaining pregnancy in the uterus and things like that. So whether you've gone through surgical menopause or menopause, for people to say that, oh, you don't need that anymore, they need to be educated a little bit more. They need to go out and do some more research, possibly. That's gotten much better from when I started this 25, 28, 30 years ago. I mean,
I can only imagine what you saw 20, 30 years ago.
Most people are believers in progesterone nowadays, but we still run across pockets of it where they say, well, you absolutely don't need it anymore. It's kind of like, well, there's stuff going on. And plus, there's always been a natural balance between your estrogen and progesterone. So back to your question, the 3 hormones, some estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those continue to be a very important part of your body and preventing things from happening. I mean, can you say it's going to prevent heart disease? Well, I can't say that. Is it going to help prevent heart disease? Well, yeah, probably is, because it does things. Testosterone is responsible for strength, large muscle strength and things like that. It helps make the brain clear. And what's the largest muscle in your body? Your heart. So if you tell me that testosterone is not important anymore for large muscles, it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. So
that actually makes a lot of sense to me.
The fear of giving a female some testosterone doesn't make sense in my mind. That being said, it needs to be appropriate. It can't be, you can't overdo it, because that's going to cause problems, just like any hormone in anybody. You have to do it at an appropriate level. I'm more of a physiological approach of, what did your body make on a daily basis? Well, we probably want to replace somewhere in that amount, maybe plus a little bit extra because we're losing some through absorption in the skin, or whatever that case might be, or we have difficulties getting it through. But that's a good starting point. I mean, hormones go right to the skin. I can drive that all day long, hormones.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my top 3. Okay? I have a top 3.
Yeah.
I would say a do not disturb sign. I would say a fan and a supportive best friend. That's my top 3.
Yep.
I'm sticking with hormones. I love you,
I'm
Debbie,
sticking
but
with
I'm
David
sticking
with
hormones.
hormones.
I know, but
Let me tell
I'm
you.
starting hormones, but I still need a little extra help.
Mine are a
It's
little
so-
dialed in now, so I'm ready.
But it's so refreshing.
So a little off topic on the hormone side of things is, I'm really a proponent of low dose naltrexone, which is, we call it LDN. So LDN we use in a lot of people for autoimmune disease and things like that. There's all sorts of uses for low dose naltrexone. There's no available source commercially for it. It does so many things in the body that if there was one thing I was going to bring to a desert island with me, it might be that.
So what is that? What is
It's
it
an
actually?
anti-inflammatory, isn't it?
What's that?
I don't know.
It's an anti-inflammatory, isn't it?
No, so LDN, low dose naltrexone is an original drug, was used for opiate overdosing. It took people out of opiate overdosing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
In higher strengths. They
It's
found
Narcan,
that
right? Isn't it Narcan?
Narcan, yeah.
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 That's how I know it. So sorry.
Yeah, so
I had to throw that in
we
there.
found in very low dosing of that, it works amazingly in people with autoimmune diseases, rheumatoid
Fascinating.
arthritis,
Right.
We're even speculating because of, that there's maybe some things because of it can help reduce inflammation in the brain and other things, areas of the body because of that. Does it help with like Alzheimer's and things like that?
I was just going to ask.
We can theoretically say yes. Do we have any studies that show that? No. But but that's compounding. Compounding's got a lot of stuff to do with theoretical uses of it. Does this make sense? Well, it does make sense to do that. That's how all medications got started. It's like, hey, what is this going to do in the body? A little bit of research out there and stuff like that. So, we're the baseline of all medications from back in. When I look at my dad's pharmacy we had a pharmacy in our family since the late 1800s.
Wow.
What did we do until
Holy
1940?
cow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
What did my family do until 1940 was they made everything. Everything we did
That's
was
so
foreign.
cool.
So, and then in the 40s, that's when the manufacturers started coming out and saying, hey, we can make everybody's life easy by fitting everybody into these 8 strengths.
Yeah.
And then we can assure that those are the, and then it makes it easier for the doctors to prescribe and whatever the reasons were back then for doing that, which makes some sense, that, good manufacturing processes and coming out with standardized dosing, standardized strength. There's some reason for that, so.
Yeah.
But that's not what we used to do.
But that is amazing. Oh my gosh, David,
I
you
think
had a pharmacy from like the 1800s. So like they were
How
dealing
many
with.
years is that?
I know. Well, like consumption was like TB, but they
Yep.
dealt with like consumption, and like how do you, and then you go from that to where you are now. That's amazing. I mean, that itself is a story in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You should have started with your history.
The oldest, we cleaned up my dad's old pharmacy after he sold it. The oldest prescription that we found, I think, was like 1912 or something like that. Was the
Oh my gosh.
something like that. So.
Oh,
What was it? Do you
wow.
remember? What was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I can say, it's probably something for the gut. Somebody had
Yeah.
diabetes.
Oh, okay. Speaking of gut, I have that was going to be my next question. I don't know whether it's just menopause or what, but gut issues seem to be a very hot topic right now. And I know, again, I'm one of those with a ton of gut issues. But is there something you can share with us that might kind of help us get through that, or
talk to
solve
the
it,
doctor
or
about
talk to what questions should we ask? Is it bloating? Is it gas? Is it menopause? Is it the food I'm eating?
So it can be all of the above. So gut issues are tough. So for one thing, there's probably a link of some kind between gluten and gut issues. We have so much gluten. I mean, the people are becoming sensitive to things, I think, because of a lot of gluten in our environment, a lot more than we ever used to have it. And so that's probably part of it. Some of it is just the toxins and everything else in our day-to-day environment. A good probiotic, a prebiotic, like a fiber or something like that. But the best thing one person you can do as a start is a good probiotic. Something with 20 billion units of cultures on a daily basis. That's a good place to start. And then we just branch out from there. We do some LDN, low dose naltrexone for gut issues and celiac and things like that. It helps heal the gut for autoimmune. Limiting the if you happen to be a gluten intolerant person, you got to eliminate gluten because
That's Raquel.
yeah,
And a little bit of Mare.
and that's really, really, really difficult to do. And I have I know people that feel so much better when they've eliminated the gluten that even if they take a bite of bread, it sends them upside down, and that's how sensitive they are to it.
And it's in everything: chapstick, shampoo,
Everything. Body
lotion.
wash,
I mean,
everything.
my God, it's incredible.
Unfortunately, that's, it's interestingly enough, my daughter happens to be pretty sensitive to gluten, and we can go to a foreign country and she can tolerate it,
Yep.
eating stuff, and then she comes back over here again and can't. I think probably one of the and then there's lots of toxins within our food supply at the moment, I think too, that potentially can cause, and it's all an additive effect, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. I don't think I'm always kind of a moderate person. It's like, yeah, we can tolerate that, we can do all that. But I think it's when you start getting all the sources, and you start bringing all the sources together, whether it's in our water supply or whether it's in our meats or whether it's in our things, you start bringing all that as an additive effect, and then you can start having more issues, I think. So gut's a big one. I mean, one of the first things I asked, are you constipated or do you have diarrhea? It should be one of the first. Sometimes I forget, but that should be one of the very first things I ask, because you can't be constipated, because the major route of elimination in your body for estrogens is through the stool. So if you're constipated, all you do is reintroducing all the estrogens into your body. You're just reabsorbing them, and so your load of estrogen is going to go up. Lots of sources for estrogen, lots of sources of that in our environment, whether it's from, estrogens there's a lot of estrogen-like substances in our environment, whether it's toxins or whether it's, smog or whether it's things like that. You don't have a source for progesterone, so sometimes we can get by on just what your body's normally making, and then to balance with some progesterone, and that's enough. Sometimes you need a little more estrogen, and then you need a little more progesterone, testosterone. So, but gut's a big one. Probiotics, the very first place to start. And then kind of go off from there. And there's a few people in town that deal specifically in gut, and sometimes sometimes we get to the point where they just got to do it, and that's pretty intensive to repair your gut sometimes. So.
It can be, yeah. When I was diagnosed with celiac, I had malabsorption. I had lost 80 pounds. It was really wild. It took several years to get back to a healthy range.
Yeah. But yeah, gut's a big one.
Yep, that's a huge one.
We've covered a lot of ground. We're so grateful for you.
I'm just processing all of this. I'm just trying to think about all of these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many people that really should investigate a compound pharmacy a little bit further before just saying, yeah, I'm going to take XYZ. I think that there's so much more benefit to looking into a compounding pharmacy so you're not going through all of these up and downs.
Yeah. And I think it's so refreshing that you also, as we agree, that we need all three of our hormones together. It's the little trilogy. They're a little family that I like to keep them all together. And here on the East Coast, where I am, they break up that family all the time. They refuse to give testosterone because they said it's not FDA. It's a battle. Like Raquel, you had said how you were in, a battle with your insurance company with getting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you literally are at a battle trying to find somebody to agree with you. And I'm just going to start flying out there, David. I'll just get frequent flyer miles.
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months. Can you give me a 6 month prescription?
There's lots of us around the country, it's just a matter of, of finding us. And like everybody, you click with some people, you don't click with somebody. It's like doctors. If you don't click with them, find somebody else. If you don't click with the compounding pharmacy, find somebody else. There's lots of us out there. Find the fit for you, because that's what's important. You got to have the fit that you agree with, and the people that you're talking to, you have to have trust in. And so sometimes that takes some effort to find that, unfortunately, in our day and age. But we're here because we like helping people. That's what we do on a daily basis as compounding people and compounding facilities. That's all we do. I mean, we're looking at whether it's for you, your pet, because there's no pet medications out there, or your kids.
I didn't even
Any
think
of
about
those
pets.
things, or all of those things, is what we deal with on a daily basis. So trying to come up with a solution for somebody that's struggling with what's going on with them.
I feel like we found a little gold mine of information here,
Yes.
because this is just a little
Thank you.
pocket of information that I don't feel like all of us knew about out there. We just hear the big headlines like there's an estrogen patch shortage, but there's
Right.
ways around that. There's workarounds. There's
There
other
is.
ways.
And there's lots of physicians that deal with it. It's just a matter of finding, and
yeah.
we always like to work with the doctor you trust, whether it's me or somebody else. I mean, ideally, we work with the person that you're going to and trusting with. So we rather work with who you're working with to begin with, and instead of going somewhere else. So
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
yeah.
you.
David, I can't yet. Thank you enough. This has been amazing. And I mean, I think you figured it out since you've been around since the 1800s, and your family has had this type of pharmacy. So, I mean, I learned so much. I'm sure you girls have, or I know our listeners will, because it is something that it's not something that's made for everyone. So you just have to figure out what is the best for you, and compounding pharmacies seem to be able to help you find what's the
if you're
best
having
for you.
trouble, reach out and somebody can help
Frequent flyer miles, David. I'm going to get frequent flyer miles. But I just thank you again to everybody, and I just want to say, if listeners out there, if you want to find help or listen here, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, and listen to this podcast. And if you don't live on the West Coast and are lucky enough to have Sierra Family Pharmacies, then you can find one near you. I'm going to look actively now when I get off this podcast, but I just wanted to thank you again. And
just Google compounding pharmacies near me, and I'm sure you'll find one.
Yes, and we'll leave the the website for Sierra Family Pharmacies in our show notes also.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep, and thank you again, and thank you to also our affiliates of Good Day Chocolate, of Parlor Games, of girls, help me with the brain fog. Who else do we have? Chime in.
Pantry
Scene.
products, Scene,
And Isogenics.
Isogenics.
Yes.
We're going to keep you healthy.
Yeah.
One way or another.
One way or another.
Yes. So thank you again. This has been just so much information. It's just amazing. I've enjoyed it.
Yep. Anytime.
Yeah, same.
Thank you. We'll
Thanks.
have you back.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.